Hello, 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 beautiful people. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are having a happy Thanksgiving or whatever you're celebrating during this time. So this is going to be my one-stop shop guide to the sorcerer class. What does it do? How does it perform? What's its role? Leveling, PvE, PvP. Kind of like I said, you're all in one-stop shop. So again, I cannot disclaim this enough. I am not the best player out there. I am not the rank one like all these other people are claiming to be. I've been playing the class for about 60 to 50 to 60 hours. So I feel like I've got a good grasp on what it's meant to do and how to perform on it. But in terms of that, that is that disclaimer. Do with this information as you please. And if you guys have any tips or tricks in the comments for my viewers or even myself, I'm always down to take some criticism, and I'm always down to get feedback. And if I miss something, I'm so sorry. Please leave it down in the comments. I'll go and pin your comment if I do miss something. But I hope this helps anybody. So let me stop yapping. Let me get straight into it. So in terms of leveling, how does this class function as leveling? Very early, it's extremely tedious. It's extremely bad in terms of early game leveling. But what I will say is that there is literally one ability that will change your entire leveling and make your life so much easier in the early game. So I promise if you follow this, stick it through for about 20, 25 levels, and then you will absolutely, once you get this ability, it will make your life a lot easier. So leveling. What is prioritization? Essentially, early game leveling. Your auto attack through Flame Arrow is going to be by far, it's your single target Flame Arrow. It's a basic attack. It's very straightforward. It has 3 separate steps. So, Flame Arrow, Burst, Pyroclasm. These 3 abilities, essentially, they do more damage the more that you auto attack. So, as you can see, the first one, 2500, 4500, and then this one can crit for like 6k. So, yeah. So, basic attack, very straightforward. You won't get the early game add-ons, but I will just show them here anyways. 50% multi-chance hit and inflict fire target on there. Fire mark, I'm sorry. I do not think this is a negotiable stat. I do not think this is anywhere near. But if you are leveling, you could absolutely roll the sustain on there. I just don't think it was worth it. Me running that early game, it was healing me for like 20 to 30. But you could if you really wanted to. Now, Ice Chain, for leveling, extremely good for AoE if you want to pull a bunch of mobs together. Realistically speaking, I would say run the 20% MP cost while you're leveling because you will struggle a little bit with mana early on. And then if you can put some points into it, I'd probably do -1 second on Winter Shackles on hit. This is just really good for just having a bunch of AoE damage, pulling a bunch of mobs together when you're trying to run through those dungeons. Firestorm. Firestorm is probably one of your most powerful abilities that you're going to get, especially early game. Not early game, sorry, about mid game. Like when you get Meteor, it's really good if you put points into it. I have it as a mobile skill, but if you want to put MP cost or skill speed while leveling, absolutely fantastic way to do that. It is really, really good. When you get that one second on Hellfire, throw that on there. It doesn't matter what you're running. I do not care. I don't care if you're fucking... You got the best build in the entire world and they tell you not to run this. Then now you have a shit build. You need to run this. This is by far one of the most important abilities that you have in the game because it reduces reduces Hellfire's damage or cooldown by literally 1 second per fireball. So if I pop my Hellfire here, bam, it's 41 seconds. I pop Firestorm, 28 seconds. And that's just one, right? Because it counts on multi-hits too. So 24, 13. So you can pop 3 Firestorms, and now a 40-second cooldown just turned into like a 12 to a 15-second cooldown. So really, really, really important ability. Really, really good for early game. Really good for leveling. Once you get those points into it after you get Hellfire. Bitter Cold Wind. If you're leveling, definitely throw the pull effect on there. The -15% water tolerance is what I'd probably run while leveling, just because of the fact that you get that extra water damage when you're pulling AoE targets. Blaze. This is what changes your early game. This absorbs 30% HP on damage. Is literally what makes the class function as a leveling character. This makes it to where you really don't have to pop pots ever, because Blaze is a 3-second cooldown, so it works off your Pyroclasm stacks. So if you look at my Fireball here, I'll pop my Fire Arrow here, and when I get a Pyroclasm stack, you'll see this little E button on the side. That'll allow me to pop that. There's a Blaze second. It's a 4-second cooldown, so it doesn't matter. I can do it again and again and again. So really, really, really nice to have. Very, very, very important ability. Even while PvPing or PvEing, it's extremely important to have. So really good. This is going to be your stagger ability. Flame Scatters. So when the enemy is staggered, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to pop this. You just hold down the E button or whatever your keybind is for it. I have it as a mobile skill, so I can move behind the enemy, get back attacks, and then guaranteed multi-hit on ability. You could do damages HP if you're really, really struggling, even in the early game, or even restores mana if you're really struggling there. Personally, I think these two are just the best once you put a little bit of points in your passives, which I'll show you in a little bit. Frost. Frost is extremely good when it comes to PvP, but for PvE, it's okay at best, realistically speaking. If you want to run it, I wouldn't put points into it early. It's definitely one of those low prio skills for PvE, but it is a pretty good damage, and it sets up your Frost Burst, which is really, really nice. And Frost Burst is a fuck ton of damage. Winter Shackles is almost pretty much useless up until Winter's Illusion. But if you want to cut your mobs and you want to have a little bit more extra AoE damage, you can absolutely just pop Winter Shackles on them. It'll freeze them. You can put that Winter's Frost in there. But yeah, I mean, you can do minus 20% damage tolerance for PvE mobs too. So you can absolutely just do more damage with your abilities. Very, very straightforward. Winter Shackles is just an AoE around your feet. Then when it turns into Winter's Illusion, it gets another proc to it, and it does a lot more damage. Frost Burst. Frost Burst is one of those core essential abilities that you'll be using throughout leveling. 20% damage is HP again. It does hit as an AoE. You could absolutely roll 300 MP on damage on hit too, but I doubt you'll get this far in terms of like the leveling process early. So I would just run the 20% absorbs as HP, and then kind of flex the other keychain abilities however you want. Wish of Concealment, I think it's called. Wish of Concealment is going to be one of your highest damage buff abilities that we have. For 16.5 seconds, you're going to get 10% combat speed and 15% attack, and you're going to increase your accuracy, which is just absolutely insane. So these are obviously non-negotiable. The max MP and the 10% MP skill costs are pretty much useless. You would just want to throw extra damage on top of your buffs. Really, really insane. So Hellfire, everybody always knows the meteor ability. Very, very straightforward. You can absolutely, if you're PvEing or leveling, you can do the Summon Flame Zone when fully charged. So a lot of people don't know this. I literally, this is embarrassing. I didn't know for the first 2 days that I played this class that it actually has 3 charges. So if you hold down your ability, you have level 2 and then max, and then it will proc. If you roll these on the leveling side of it for Hellfire, you can run the Summon Flame Zone and then inflict Fire Mark as well. Fire Mark is just a really, really good way to get Pyroclasm stacks. So, really nice. But, what else? So, Fire Mark, this is going to be your first... Oh, sorry. Defiance. Defiance is your CC break ability. I have the heal on it. I was pretty lazy leveling this, but you should probably actually put more points in it. Fire Mark. So, now that we're into passes, Fire Mark is just extra fire damage, and it reduces attack by 10%. So, really, really nice to have. So it's just extra damage over time, and then reduces their attack by 10%. So I max this out, especially for PvP, just because it really, really helps. Robe of Earth, extremely good for mana regen. This makes it to where you can't actually run out of mana. I mean, it becomes almost impossible to run out of mana. So I would definitely max this as soon as possible, if you can. Just because we're going to use another passive that I'll show you guys here in just a minute. Very, 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 very good passive to level. I wouldn't worry about passives too much early. I would definitely worry about getting level 8 on all of your abilities early. So prioritization on level 8 abilities for sure is going to be Flame Arrow. The Flame Arrow is just extra damage to have. Definitely going to prioritize getting this level 12 if you can. But realistically speaking, if you can't, that's completely fine. Frost Burst, extremely good to get early levels in. Like at least level 5. At least level 5 is really good to have it in. But realistically, you want to use all of these skills that I just said. Get them all to level 8 as soon as possible. Level 8 will unlock your second ability. Or sorry, the add-on ability. So you can actually put points into it and make it do what it's supposed to do. And then worry about passives later. But Robe of Earth is a really good passive to have. Robe of Flame, accuracy and attack by 19.5%. Absolute necessity if you want to do damage. Really, really good. I'd probably actually put points in my passive if I had to put it in first. It'd be this here. So there's that. Robe of Enhanced Essence, sorry. Same thing. Just MP on hit. Realistically speaking, you don't really need to run this unless you're really struggling with mana. I just have some extra points, and I'll probably end up throwing this somewhere else, honestly. Probably throw it into Grace of Enhancement. But Grace of Resistance is really good for PvP, but not so good for leveling. I mean, it's okay, but it's just extra resistances, so really nice to have for defense. Rub it cold. Struck by an enemy reduces movement speed, so slow by 2.5 seconds. This is extremely good to level if you have points, but in all honesty, it's negligible, and you have so many CC abilities for PvP anyways. I'm going to put points in this when I have time, but it's definitely not a prioritization for me. That's a debatable one. I could be stupid for that, so do with that information as you want. Grace of Enhancement, very, very good. Very good ability. Increase stack by 20% when MP is 67% or more. So me personally, this is kind of like the threshold where I found to where I don't really drop below 65% is where, like, even if I'm spamming my abilities, I really don't run out. So really, really nice to have there. Revitalization is just HP whenever you drop to 10%, and then reduces status effects by 17%. So really nice to have if you're getting CC'd quite a bit. And then obviously Vitality. Vitality is just deals extra damage if the target is 80% HP or more. This is really nice for PvE bosses. So if you're doing a lot of single target damage on a tanky boss, that's the way to do it. In terms of leveling, stigmas they're okay to have early on. I would say Divine Burst is probably going to be your PvE go-to when it's early game, just because it does good damage and increases skill speed by 20% when you have the when you have the add-on to it, and then it does 50 stagger gauge damage. Stagger is essentially just they're stunning the boss, so you can do extra damage. But Elements Enhancement is it's a debatable one. I think it's absolutely disgustingly broken, but some people don't like it. But I think it's really good. All it does is just create extra damage for 10% on both of your elements, and then I usually run Steel Barrier, both PvE, PvP, leveling, all of it. It's just really good to have extra damage. I'm sorry, damage mitigation. And move speed. And then one that you should be running in PvE, realistically speaking, is Delayed Explosion. Delayed Explosion is really nice for setting up that burst combo. So you pop this first, you pop all your cooldowns. It works like, if you guys play League of Legends, it works like a Z ult. So it'll essentially just pop that damage that you do over that 4 seconds. So really good for leveling as well. But so that's pretty much that. Now that we've done pretty much a full rundown of the abilities, for PvP, it is pretty much the same exact setup that I have here for all of my abilities. Max 12% damage, because I primarily, like I said, this class really thrives on 1v1s. But there really isn't much more to it besides your stigmas. You will swap up your stigmas. Personally, this is where it gets debatable, and some people will say that, like, I'm stupid for this. I think that Soulbind and Curse Tree is... Soul Freeze and Curse Tree are absolutely some of the most disgusting broken abilities. If you guys have watched my montage, you can see that most of my setups on my meteors come from these two abilities. This has Soul Freeze has a chance to root for 5 seconds, and then Curse Tree level 5 increases the hit count. So even if you accidentally pop like a Firestorm or something like that on them, it won't break it, so you can set up a meteor combo really, really nicely. Absolutely insane. Really, 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 really good ability. But yeah, that's pretty much that. When it comes to PvP rotations, I cannot stress this enough. There is no guaranteed rotation that's going to make this class function properly. But if you guys want to see essentially how I set up kills, this is how I do it. So I'll typically start by popping both of my buffs early, and then I'll try to get a CC. After I get a CC from Frost, I'll pop this, I'll pop Curse Tree, and then I will pop a Meteor combo on top of that, and then I'll immediately start my Firestorms to get my Hellfire off cooldown. So you have 2 animation cancels. They're both off of your Frost and your Fire abilities. So if I sit here and I auto attack and I get a Pyroclasm stack, you can see that blazes up. So on fire stacks, I can't really show it on. So as you can see on the right side, it says press E. But if you do it at the right time, you can actually cancel the animation of it. So because it's off the global cooldown. Same thing with your Frost Burst. So if I hit here and then I pop my Q, which is my Frost Burst ability, it will essentially be off the GCD, so I can pop it right away. If you guys see that, I pretty much auto attacked twice. Again, that did it again. Again, So yeah. So those are your animation cancels. You can also speed up your ice chain, which is just your right click, by left clicking. So left click, right click, kind of speeds up the ability. Like if you wind it up normally, um, it's a little bit longer from what I've seen, but it's so negligible that it's really, really hard to say on this ping. Being at 190 ping just is kind of miserable to show you guys animation cancels, so I don't really rely on them as much as if like I were in NA. But yeah, I mean that's just your setup combo. Essentially, pop your buffs. After you pop your buffs, fish for a CC. After you get your CC, pop Cursory, which is just one of your long ones, or Soul Freeze. Pop your Meteor. Get your CCs down. How does kiting work in this? Kiting is extremely simple. Once they dash you, they're all super telegraphed. They pretty much all do the same thing. You have Templar doing pulls, so as soon as they pull you, just pop. Bam. Winter Shackles. Winter Shackles will get that distance away from you. So essentially, you get pulled in, you Winter Shackles, you get out, you dash out. Other than that, pretty much it's realistically just looking for fishes on CCs, fishes on other things like that. But other than that, again, it's very, very straightforward when it comes to the combos. The class isn't too hard to function itself. I just hope that you guys learn something from, watching some of these combo guides or anything like that. There is no one-stop shop, so if anybody tells you that there is a one-stop shop guide to like how to do damage on sorceress, it's pretty much impossible to realistically, break it down. But that's the easiest way that I can. So again, just fishing for CCs, pre-popping buffs because they last 16.5 seconds. You can get pretty much a rotation and a half off before you actually get your buffs expire. So really, really nice to have those. Obviously, look for their cooldowns. Understanding that the other classes' cooldowns is a very important part. Don't pop your buffs into their defensives if you can. But PvE is pretty much the same rotation. Instead of looking for CCs, you're going to start with your pre-buffs. So delayed explosion, you're going to start your pre-buffs again. You're going to start with an element enhancement. And then your E ability, which is just Wish of Consentment, or Wish of, what is it called? Concentration? Yeah, Wish of Concentration. Pop both of those buff abilities, and then drop a fucking meteor on their forehead. And then just make sure that you're keeping meteor uptime as low as possible. So you pop your meteor, you instantly start popping firestorms, get that cooldown on meteor. Really, really, really nice to have. But in terms of Daevanion Board, I went for damage just everywhere. Just go for as much damage as possible. Especially early leveling, just focus the combat speed. Just go straight to these two. Just go like in a zigzag diagonal way all the way through. Just get that damage boost, 5%. That's just 10% damage there. Again, critical damage boost, 5%, 5%. Bam. Again, this one just has just extra skills in there, so it doesn't have too many important things. PvE style, I need to unlock more boards here, and then PvP, I'm still just going for more damage, so I'll just go whoop, straight over here. Go for that PvP damage boost, 2.5%. Want to get my feathers tonight. But yeah, I mean, that's realistically it. The class is very straightforward. Now, in terms of my thoughts on the class after about 50 or 65 hours on it, this is my take, and it's going to be an unbiased take. I think it's a very good class in terms of 1v1s. I just think that in terms of this game, it is very, very hard to make this class function without gear. So you need to understand that. Like, if you have a full-time job, you're employed, and you're not going to spend any money on this game, just be conscious of the fact that you are going to do significantly less damage than some other classes can do with less gear. But this is what I will say. In terms of the class's functionality and how it works, the class is very, very good in terms of single target damage. It is very good in 1v1s. And it also has very good setup. So even if you're like midly geared, you can pretty much outplay quite a bit of people by just rotating your CCs properly and understanding the fundamentals of the class. So, and that just takes time. But I will say it's probably like an A- tier class. I wouldn't say it's like an A+ or an S tier for sure. But I definitely think it's up there in terms of like power, in terms of scaling. It's just really squishy. If you get caught It is a tab target game, so there is a really hard time to like actually outplay a lot of these people that are, just running at you or pulling you constantly and just permanently seeing you. But that's where like if I wasn't on 200 ping, I'd probably have a different opinion on the class just because I could kite a little bit easier. But I feel like when I get pulled, I get stuck in situations and I can't really get out of them. So that's just my take on it. Do with that information as you want. I think at PvE it's extremely good. Like there's just no cookie cutter around there. Sork is probably one of the top classes of PvE from what I've seen so far. I could be wrong on that, but my single target damage, I'm hitting bosses for like 60k. Super insane in terms of damage if you pop all your buffs correctly. But yeah, I mean that's my guide. I hope this helped at least a single person. Let me know in the comments if you guys finished the entire video, and if this helped you. And again, if you guys have any tips for me, if I missed anything, please let me know in the comments. I usually pin your guys' comments and like them. I try to respond to everybody, but I'm getting so much love on these videos that it's really hard to kind of keep up with you guys. So if you guys want to see any other content like this, let me know what kind of content you want to see. And I am thinking about streaming, so if you guys would want to watch a stream, just let me know down in the comments, and let me know if you'd actually tune into one of those, because I really want to make more content for you guys. So I want to make sure that you guys are getting the best kind of resources available to you. So that's pretty much it, man. Y'all have a good day. Happy Thanksgiving. Peace.